Hey everyone, I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. Apparently we had nice weather, warmer weather, and I think there's going to be a few more days of that. So going to enjoy that because it could definitely be worse here. So I don't know if I want to say it too. I don't want to jinx us with the weather, but not going to say it. But anyhow, I'm going to continue on with my well, the original title yesterday was being a I forgot now, caregiver for the caregiver, caretaker for the caretaker, whatever. I forgot. But anyhow, so I'm going to label this caregiving or something with something to do with dementia. So where I left off in my story was that there was a elderly lady who was someone in our community of where we're from, and she would always go to people's parties. Some parties I think she was just well, some of it I'm pretty sure I know for a fact she was asked to come, to work, to set up, clean up, and all that, and those people paid her. Then there were other people that invited her to the party, knowing that she would always set up, clean up, and all that, and didn't pay her. And they were far and few between, but sadly, the people that I spoke about in my first video were that way. And as one of the subscribers mentioned that, about the difference between rich and, poor or not rich people are, you know, paraphrase what subscriber said. Basically, the less you have, the more you give, but you give from the heart. And these people, I know, almost I envision in my head a boxing ring. And we have the two rich people with their gold-plated gloves on, and then we have my mom, who raised me, and myself. So it's like, who's going to win this battle? So where I left off is the rich people there wanted to stuff her into a nursing home because they had no more use for her. They felt that, she couldn't do that much, and maybe, and this is for everyone. I've noticed because I've worked for elderly people. They may wash the dishes and you may find, it's not as clean, because you can't see, and whatever the reason is, I don't know. So it wasn't to their liking. She was no use to them, so just put her away. But before they were gonna take her a little bit of money. And even talking about it makes me sick to my stomach. But like I said, my mom and I had a different plan for this woman. First of all, to see her, the older woman, crying, and they saw her crying, and again, back to that boxing ring. 4 people saw the same woman crying, and they were just there, with a heart of stone, no heart. And my mom and I, our hearts were just, oh my gosh, hurting, pouring out love, wanting to help her. Even though, like I said, my mom didn't have much. We were just, early part of our marriage, and, we started off, and I was a stay-at-home mom, so we wouldn't have, like, we could make a whole decor room for her, or hire someone to, like my mom's part, hire someone to watch her at night, where these other people, the rich ones, could. They just wanted to get her out of the way, and it just sickens me to think about that. And I don't know if, why I always felt, like I said, I've always felt this need to help people, even from, I remember being 7 years old, and seeing a old man sitting in a recliner in a department store. They were called department stores, I think, back then, where you have like furniture, toys, clothes, everything in the same store. And all of a sudden, I just looked at him, and it's like I got frozen in time. All of a sudden, I literally felt frozen with that vision. I can still remember what he looks like today. And I guess that's why I always have a soft spot in my heart for old men. I mean, you know, very old men. So, anyhow, I don't know what makes the difference of the people who, and it's not all people, don't get me wrong. I have worked for people who have a lot of money. It's just, you know, I'm not trying to batch everyone in the same group. You know, the rich are always nasty and the not wealthy are always kind. Of course, there's always, you know, I want to use the word variant, no. You know what I mean. There's an exception to the rule. But boy, these people were, they were the top of the list of the snooty, snotty, rich people with their noses up in the air. And it was just horrible. So anyhow, my mom and I had this plan that she could watch this woman at night and I would watch her in the daytime. And I was thinking before I did this video about, this is in my first marriage, and you would think that, you know, you'd have to ask, like me, asking my first husband, her asking her husband. Well, in her case, she definitely had to ask her husband and talk about it or talk him into it or whatever. In my case, of course, I wouldn't just bring in someone into our home and say, hey, guess what, surprise. But I knew my first husband came from a good family. Well, so I thought. But anyhow, I knew he had been raised right. He was also very social. He liked people. And, of course, I would talk to him, but I knew that, say it was an emergency situation, these people were threatening to, you know, put her away, that, you know, it's an emergency, I would be able to just bring her to her home and he would not be mad about it. But anyhow, so, you know, my mom talked to her husband, and I'm sure he didn't really like it. I talked to my first husband, who, that's when this was happening during that time, and he's like, that'd be great, that'd be wonderful. He had no problem with that at all. So as we were planning kind of how this would all work, like I said, we, you know, we'd have her at my house in the day and at my mom's house at night. And, you know, we had just figured either, you know, probably she would bring her over in the morning, just being easier with, you know, having the 2 or 3 kids. I don't remember. They were all little. That's all I know. I might have 2 toddlers and a baby, or 3 toddlers. I don't know. Very little kids. But like I said, I at least had 2 kids. I thought about it more. I had 2 kids for sure. Yeah, I think I had 3. It doesn't matter. But anyhow. So, you know, we were figuring all this out. And, you know, then I'd have her in the day, and then I'd bring her back at night, and, you know, how would that all be? And I thought, how will my mom get, you know, sleep? Is she, you know, going to be walking around? Because some people, her husband, my uncle, had parents who lived with us growing up, and I told the story. I could retell part of it in another series of stories. My uncle's mother definitely had dementia, but I will talk about that at a different time or at the end of this series. So, anyhow, you know, we were trying to figure it out. And as we were trying to figure, you know, how it's all going to be and how it's going to be for my mom and at night, and, you know, we didn't know, but she seemed to, you know, she said she slept well and all this and everything. And my gosh, she started crying when we said that, you know, don't worry, they're not going to put you in any nursing home. They're not going to stuff you away. And I was going to make sure it was going to happen, even if I had to have her here at night, you know, because my mom obviously had to sleep because she worked. And, you know, sadly, not everyone, especially not my first husband, he always cherished a stay-at-home mom. There are a lot of people, I don't think back then, I think there was something almost that working women would say, my gosh, how do you do it? I could never do it. I remember the few people I knew who worked were like, oh, how can you do, I would love to work. I would never do what you're doing. And, just people are who they are. And to me, that's what I wanted so bad, because like I said, my mom was a career woman. And I saw what it did to me. I had to be a latchkey kid, 5 years old, left alone at home, and I didn't want that for my children. So I was lucky, I had someone that agreed with me, and it seemed like more people looked kindly upon stay-at-home mom. Unlike, well, we'll just keep that out of it. So anyhow, as we're trying to plan how this is going to happen, how we're going to take care of this woman, how it will all fall into place, these other people were meeting with lawyers. Oh yes, lawyers. Because, hey, they got the money. I didn't even think of that. Now, as you all know, I'm a thinker. I think way too much. I think 20 steps ahead, but I didn't think there'd be no lawyer involved. I mean, that didn't even cross my mind when I found out that they were talking to a lawyer, because there's nothing to talk about. This older woman, elderly woman, what you want to call her, was a relative to neither of us. And oh no, they had to make sure they won. I don't know if they knew that, I was a fighter and I was going to fight tooth and nail, and they were not going to stuff her away, But it wasn't easy to get to the point we wanted to get to, which was to get the lady out of her home, out of her apartment, into our home. Because if she was going to stay in that apartment, they were going to do their I don't even know the word. They just make me sick. They're going to stuff her away. That's the only way I can look at it. So she was very scared, and we started taking her more out. Like, we would take her out a lot. She loved to go to McDonald's and have a burger, and we used to do that all the time. So I would stop by more often with the whatever number of little tiny kids I had who ran around her apartment. She says, oh, don't worry, don't worry. But, just to let her know we're in her corner. But to find out these people got a lawyer, and we got this horrible letter. That's how I found out they had a lawyer. Because, you got money, you can push people around, or so they think. They think they got muscle. They have nothing. They have nothing over anyone. And again, if you're rich, this is nothing against you. I'm not saying you're like that. These people were like that. So, this is how I found out. And I didn't know if I should tell my mom, because like I said, she gets very intimidated by rich people. And I had told a story about when my biological mom died, and then my grandpa died, and the horror that went on because my mom was afraid of a rich person, which came later in life. This was early on. I was very young and very surprised. I'm not going to say shocked, because I've known those people my whole life, and there was no kindness I ever saw that they gave out to people that were, as they would say, beneath them. And we definitely, according to their rules, were beneath them. But I think that made me even stronger and fight harder, that we were not beneath them. They were not above us. Who cares how much money they had? And they would belittle me. I'm sure they'd belittle my mom. And I don't even know if that was my more wanting to fight. I don't think that was. Not like, they're not going to win, we're going to win. It wasn't about that. It was just this woman, when she overheard them talking about that, and how she was sad and crying, and there was no way. I was going to do everything in my power. And luckily back then, it was easier than later in life, when I shared another story and I could retell some of it, for the new people. But I knew in my heart, whatever it took, these mean rich people would not win. And like I say, whatever money they thought they would get from her, I don't know what it was, 1,000, under 1,000. I don't even know what money she had. They apparently did, because they would become executors to every single person they knew so they could take their money. And like I said, they were already millionaires. Well, I'm saying on their own. Maybe they became millionaires from all the executors they were. It's just, it makes me sicker now to think of it. But these same people, by the way, could be helping Polly and I. But I mean, they're elderly now too, but I'm sure they have people wiping their butts for them. But they would put on this facade that they're helping others way back when. And they even said, I found out through somebody, that they said, oh, they would love to help Sandy out. That, they put a facade. I called their bluff. They don't want to help anyone but themselves. So anyhow, I was hell-bent that we were going to take this woman in. I didn't even think anything about, the kids I have and her. Taking care of someone with dementia is like taking care of another child. But, I was young. You know how you're young and everything seems possible, and, I don't know, at least that's how I was. When you're, like I said, I think in another video, when you're young, you think 30 is old, and then when you become 30, you're like, this isn't old. But I just knew in my heart that we were going to prevail, whatever it took. So that is, we'll call this the first part. The first was an introduction, so this will be, oh, I never know if it's episode first or series first. But I'll figure it out before I put a title on. So this is where we're at. After that, finding out what was on their mind. And we had something else on our mind. We were not going to let her be stuffed away. And like I said, I had no clue. I never thought that they would contact lawyers, because their money could buy the best lawyers to throw another human being like into a cell, just away, goodbye. It was horrible. So it was quite a shock to me. I mean, now I think, how could it be a shock? Because I'm always thinking, and I think the more kids I had, the more I thought. I don't know why I didn't think of that. But that's where we were at this point, and I will continue. So this will be, oh, I can't remember. Let me think a minute. So I put it on pause to think, so I forgot what I just said. But, so this will be Series 1, Episode 1, whatever I call it. And a couple people have said they want me to do it in whatever words I use. My gosh, my brain is really off tonight. I just had a bad, I'm going to do a video on what happened today. Polly's not doing well, and of course you can imagine who I reached out to, so it really very much upset me. But I'll do that when we get through this. But anyhow, this will be, Series 1, Episode 1. And like I say, if you have any short stories to share, and one of my subscribers did share a sad story, so, if you want to read the comments, even if you don't comment, just read, because I mean, I don't know, it's nice, and maybe say something nice to people that have gone through things like this, because it's very hard. So that's where I'll end here on the beginning of the series of how will we get, or will we get, the elderly woman to come stay with us, rather than what the rich, mean people wanted, to put her away. So we will see. So for now, thank you for watching. I hope this brings some awareness to you. I hope this reminds you, if you have parents or a loved one who is still around, to spend time with them. Give them an extra hug or a kiss or an I love you. Or to think ahead. What will happen to your parents or loved ones? I'm not saying, whatever this turns out, my story, that what I'm doing is the right choice. But I knew in the situation with these people that, there are situations where obviously you can't take people in, and I understand that. But the situation we were in, we figured we could do it. Again, did we do it or not? I don't know, because our opposers are very wealthy, mean people. But I'm not saying if you had to put someone in a nursing home, that's bad. And I'm just saying this is the story that I have to tell that we went through. And just maybe to raise awareness, not only to dementia, to other illnesses. You know, there's Parkinson's, there's all kinds of awful illnesses that, you know, life-changing decisions have to be made. This just happens to be about someone with dementia. So thank you for watching. Actually, I guess this was the first part. The other thing was a, what's it called? An introduction. So, again, would you like me to, I don't think I explained it right, like a series. Would you like me to maybe, like I say, twice a week, I'll talk about this, and then next week, the same 2 days, and, you know, the same 2 days, or do you want me to, like, however long it takes to tell the story? Because I don't think I explained that right. So the 2 people who said how they wanted it, just so we're on the same page, do you want me to just continue every day to tell the story, or like tell the story maybe twice or 3 times a week, and the other days, you know, if I'm able to put a blog up, I'll put something else up. So let me know. But thank you for your input. It means a lot. Don't forget to subscribe. I have other ideas if I can't stand and cook and bake, because for whatever reason I'm not going to ever get a diagnosis for this illness. Just thinking of other ideas that, you know, like I say, maybe will help you, or you can help someone else making these kind of decisions. And I'll just something that landed on my heart, and I felt I had to share this. So again, I forgot where I left off. Subscribe, like, share, comment, press the notification bell so you know when a video is going up. Don't forget to share. Sharing is caring. Especially share something like this. It may help someone else out making hard decisions. Don't forget to pay it forward. It feels good in your heart, Polly's heart, and my heart. Be kind to people. You don't know what they're going through. And be the reason someone smiles today. Thanks for watching, and see you again.